So SpaceX has now floated. Its public listing has gone ahead, and as I predicted, it's been a great success, up 20% first day, then 20% again. So SpaceX is a massive tech company, massively on the cheap. However, what does this mean for the future of the trading of the shares? Well, it still may come back. It's got to find equilibrium. There's a lot of buying and selling to do by different parties. And of course, macro events and global markets will see it go up and down. That is the way of markets. However, I do need to correct some of the pundits and financial journalists out there who are making mistakes about SpaceX. Some of them, and I couldn't believe this commentary when I heard it. Some of these commentators are saying, well, the launch system is not very important and so on and so forth. Now, I can assure you right now that Elon Musk's company is launching 80-90% of the world's mass, space transport mass, into space because of the success of Falcon 9 and soon to be Starship as well. The significant reusability that he's pushed forward gives him a massive lead at SpaceX over other competitors. And so that launch capability, that launch system is worth a fortune as far as I can see and say. Now, obviously, it'll be worth a lot more when Starship is up and going, but I don't see how Starship doesn't work. He'll get there in the end, and it's a larger unit. So in some ways, larger units are easier to deal with. So aside from the launch system, which is very valuable, aside from the revenue that it generates, the launch system, the reusable rockets, allows him to do Starlink, which makes him a satellite and a telecommunications company, before you get to XAI, artificial intelligence, and that system, which includes data centers in space in the future and manufacturing on the moon. There is actually some manufacture on the moon, which is much easier because of lower gravity than on Earth. So moon manufacture is not pie in the sky. It's actually very realistic because there's some extreme manufacture on Earth that becomes much easier in space from the point of view of clean rooms and lower gravity and materials handling. Then aside from that, the moon's got plenty of helium-3 on it and quite high-grade rare earth, like europium, I think up to 2% there. So mining on the moon becomes very useful. And by mining, we're just talking about, sort of free digging on the moon's surface. You're not talking about drilling and blasting, God forbid. So the moon actually is very realistic in terms of its ability to provide manufacturing space for extreme manufacture, where you've got a low gravity need, a materials handling need, and you want access to helium-3 and some high-grade rare earths. So that's not space fantasy, as some financial journalists and pundits are trying to say. So I do think they misunderstand SpaceX in the long term. And yes, helium-3 that comes off the solar winds from the sun, 50 tons of that can power China in a fusion reactor once we get fusion going for a year. So there's several million tons on the moon's surface, so that can deal with fuel cleanliness in future centuries, it's fair to say. Although if there are aliens in our solar system, it's probable that they're on our moon because they probably are there harvesting the helium-3 even before us, because Earth, as fascinating as it is, and Mars, as fascinating as it is probably not so interesting from an alien's perspective. If they're an intelligent alien who needs energy, they'd be far more interested in the moon and its helium-3 and rare earths. But either way, we'll now find out, now that SpaceX has launched its IPO successfully and is well on its way to achieving its goals, which wraps its arms around the moon and possibilities of manufacture and mining there as well.